Hello there, Tolkien fanatics, and I am back with the next video in the What is MESBG series I am doing. So I'm going to work through just explaining the game in these next few videos, talking about some basic rules, and then I'm going to dive in depth. So this video should be pretty quick and short, as should be most of these, because I'm just going to cover some of the very basics of the game so you can learn and understand it. So, what is the game? How does it work? So there's the game's played turn by turn, and in the turn there's 5 phases to a turn sequence, and these 5 phases are the priority phase, the move phase, the shoot phase, the fight phase, and the end phase. Now they seem pretty straightforward, so I'm just going to go over them real quick, and we'll talk a little bit about them, and then we'll get into the real, nitty-gritty depths of it as we go along, and talk about a lot of the stuff that goes with it. So, first phase, the priority phase. Priority phase is very simple. It is literally just a roll off to see which player has priority. The priority player is allowed to do everything first in the turn. So you simply take a dice, you roll it, a higher number wins. So what happens if it's a draw? Well, that's simple. Whoever had priority last turn loses it this turn. So if me and Tracy, that's my wife, are playing a game, and we are on the second turn of the game, and I roll a 4 and she rolls a 3, I will have 1 priority, so I will get to go first. So we finish the rest of the turn, we go to the next turn, start priority again, we roll again. This time I roll a 3 and she also rolls a 3. Well, since I had priority in turn 2, she takes priority in turn 3. So that's priority phase, very simple. Second phase is the move phase. Again, pretty simple and straightforward. The move phase is both players move their models. Player with priority gets to go first, and then the non-priority player subsequently follows. This is kind of the act and reaction phase of the game. So at the beginning of a game, usually whoever has priority will just move. There's not a lot of stuff that happens in order to change the priority of who is moving first. Now, once you start to get into combat or get close to being in combat, then there are some things called heroic actions that can usurp the normal set of priority. So a non-priority player could have the option of moving first. And like I said, this is just a quick video talking about the phases. We're not going to go into all of that right now. We're just going from there. So that's the move phase. Both players get to move their models. Third phase is the shoot phase. Players can make shooting attacks with any of their models that are equipped with missile weapons, starting with the player with the priority. Once they have finished with all their models, the other player makes shooting attacks with their models. So again, you're just shooting. It says exactly what it is. Shoot phase. You're shooting. Missile weapons can be anything from a bow to a throwing dagger, a throwing spear, and there's even a couple people that have what's that little thing called? Not handicap hole. I can't think of what it's called right now. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I'm sorry, guys. I know what it is. I just can't think of it. Ori uses it. Slingshot. That's it. Ori is, I'm pretty sure, is the only model in the game that owns a slingshot. But there is somebody that has a slingshot, believe it or not. So yeah. And this can also include things like whips. Whips can be missile attacks as well. They don't have a long range, but they are missile attacks. So that is the shoot phase. Then you roll into the fight phase. And the fight phase is, again, pretty much exactly what it sounds like. These phases aren't very hard, guys, to figure out. So fight phase is you fight. Models in combat will go against each other, and the priority player gets to resolve the order in which these combats are done. This is important because if you're the priority player, you can being able to pick the order can allow you to, at times, untrap your models. So traps. I know someone's going, what are traps? Traps is when a model is in a situation where if they lose, they can't move away. So in combat, when you fight, the losing model must back away an inch. Now, it doesn't have to be a straight line. It just has to be able to move. Well, I'm sorry, it does have to be a straight line, but it doesn't have to be straight away. You can move sideways an inch. You can move diagonally an inch. You just have to be able to move a full inch away to not be trapped. So being the priority player is important because if one of your models is trapped or in a situation where they could be trapped like that, if they lose, you can have other fights. You can pick the order of fights and pick other fights around it, where those fights might be able to open up a space where if you were to lose, you could untrap your model. Subsequently, you would also want to pick fights that could trap your opponent first, potentially, so that way you could have a better chance of killing your opponent's models. So the fight phase, again, it all goes back to priority. Priority kind of dictates everything. So that's the fight phase, and then the final last phase of the game is, or I'm sorry, not the game, but of the turn sequence is the end phase. And this phase resolves any effects that remain until the end phase. There are special powers, mostly magical powers out there, that will end up causing you to not be able to do something for the duration of a turn. So we'll get to that later, but that's basically what it does. You also move away any stray tokens and dice before starting the next turn. So if somebody were to have charged the new, there's a starter pack. It's the command pack. That's it. I think it's called the command pack. I'll try and drop a link to a picture below if I can. But it's really cool because the command pack has different little tokens you can use. So if you have mounted models and you charge in, they get bonuses for charging. So if you got a lot of them spread out, you want to make sure that you have that so you can, make sure that you're getting your bonuses. Especially if you're somebody like me who I'm an airhead and I forget stupid stuff all the time. So it's important for me to be able to remember who got the charges in. So that command pack, putting a little marker, putting a little dice, putting something next to your model that allows you to remember, oh, hey, yeah, this guy charged, is very, very important. So that is the 5 phases of a turn. And again, that's the priority phase, move phase, shoot phase, fight phase, end phase. Like I said, pretty straightforward for the most part, but there we go. So yeah, guys, quick video just talking about how a game works. 5 phases, roll to see who has priority, and the priority player gets to do basically everything first and pick orders of fights and so on and so forth. All right, stay tuned. I'll have another one of these up soon. We'll be able to talk about something more in depth. We'll be moving along through this slowly, so if you're an experienced player, I apologize. You don't really care for these, but for new players, this is a great way to get into the game and learn the game. All right, y'all. Take care, and thanks for subscribing to Token Fanatic.